15 years of leave, free salary, and then a court battle. The shocking story of Ian Clifford. About a job, rights, and greed. Imagine this. No alarm in the morning, no call from the boss, no meetings, no targets. And yet, every month, a salary lands in your bank account, year after year, without going to the office, without doing any work. Now pause right here. This is where the fear begins, because the question arises. If a person is not happy even with a life like this, then where does satisfaction really exist? And the curiosity is this. When the world is struggling just to save jobs, why would someone go to court despite receiving a free salary? This is the story of Ian Clifford, an ordinary employee, but a completely extraordinary case. A story that first feels like a dream, then feels like greed, and in the end makes you realize it's a clash between the system, rights, and the human mindset. First, you should know that Ian Clifford worked at a giant tech company like IBM, the same IBM whose name instantly brings to mind stability, corporate ethics, and employee-friendly policies. In 2008, Ian Clifford fell ill. It wasn't a minor illness. It was so serious that he had to go on long-term sick leave. At first, everyone assumed he would recover in a few months and return to work. But months slowly turned into years. 1 year passed. 2 years passed. Then 5 years. Ian was still on sick leave. Usually in such cases, companies either declare the employee medically unfit or terminate their service. But IBM did neither. They did not fire Ian. And from here, the story stopped being normal. From 2008 to 2013, an entire 5 years, Ian Clifford did not return to work. During this period, his illness was considered serious and permanent. At one point, IBM stopped his salary. The company's argument was that sick pay has a limit. Ian did not accept this. He said, "If I am an employee, then I have rights." And this is where the first legal turn came. Ian Clifford filed a complaint against IBM. The matter moved toward court. IBM now found itself in a strange situation. On one side was the employee's illness and disability. On the other were corporate policies and legal risk. Finally, in 2013, a settlement was reached between the two. And this settlement is the most shocking part of the entire story. IBM said, "Fine, we accept that you cannot work, but we will not terminate your employment. Not only that, we will continue to pay you 75% of your salary until the age of 65, without any work, without coming to the office, without any responsibility. Basically, sit at home and keep taking the money." Now stop and think for a moment. Assured income till 65. For most people, this is better than retirement. And this is not a government job. It's a private multinational company. At that time, Ian Clifford was happy with this settlement. He started receiving a fixed amount every year. He saw it as a victory. Time passed. Year after year, IBM kept paying Ian his salary. Inside the company, people changed, CEOs changed, policies changed. But one thing remained constant. Ian Clifford's monthly payment. No work. No contribution. But the story doesn't end here. The real twist comes in 2022, almost 9 years after the settlement. In 2022, Ian Clifford suddenly felt that he was being treated unfairly. The reason? His salary had remained the same for the past 9 years. No increment. No inflation adjustment. Prices kept rising, but his income stayed the same. Ian felt that IBM was pushing him backward financially. Now understand this situation. On one side is IBM, paying an employee for decades who does not work at all. On the other side is the employee saying, "Increase the pay or see you in court." Ian Clifford once again sent a legal notice to IBM. This time, the matter was more serious. He alleged that IBM was discriminating against him due to his disability. His argument was that if he were not disabled, he would have received regular increments. But because he is disabled and on sick leave, his income has been frozen. Ian argued that with inflation, the real value of his income was continuously decreasing. On paper, the amount was the same, but its purchasing power had fallen. He said this was unfair treatment and against the Equality Act. The case reached the Employment Tribunal. The question before the court was very simple. Can a company that is paying an employee for decades without any work also be forced to give annual increments? IBM's side was no less interesting. The company said, "We have shown extraordinary generosity to Ian Clifford. We are not forcing him to work. We are not terminating his employment. We are giving him guaranteed payments until the age of 65. No other employee gets such a benefit." IBM clearly stated that increments are linked to performance. When someone is not working at all, the question of performance-based increments does not arise. Moreover, IBM said that this payment was a negotiated settlement, not part of a normal salary structure. The court heard both sides. And then came the decision that made this story a global talking point. The Employment Tribunal judge dismissed Ian Clifford's petition. The court said very clearly, enough is enough. The court said that the benefit Ian is receiving is extraordinary in itself, a benefit that a normal employee would never receive. The court acknowledged that Ian is disabled and that this is why he was given this arrangement. But that does not mean the company is also obligated to give automatic increments without any work. The judge said that IBM had not discriminated against Ian. On the contrary, IBM had treated him exceptionally. If Ian were not disabled, he might have been terminated. But here, he was being given lifelong financial security. The court also said that equality does not mean that everyone must receive the same benefit in every situation. Equality means there should be no unfair disadvantage. And in this case, Ian was not facing a disadvantage. He was receiving a disproportionate advantage. With this, Ian Clifford's petition was completely dismissed. Now, don't see this story as just a legal case. It is a mirror of our thinking, of our expectations, and of that fine line where rights end and entitlement begins. In today's world, where millions of people are dealing with job insecurity, layoffs have become common, and people are forced to work despite mental health struggles. An employee being on sick leave for 15 years and still receiving guaranteed income is shocking in itself. But what is even more shocking is that a person was not satisfied even in that situation. Perhaps because expectations slowly keep rising. First, the job survived. Happiness. Then salary came. Happiness. Then lifetime security. Happiness. And then the pain of not getting increments. This case also forced the corporate world to think. Should there be a limit to employee welfare? Can generosity turn into legal liability in the future? And should companies be afraid of being too humane? On the other hand, this case is also a lesson for employees. Asking for rights is not wrong, but it is important to understand the difference between rights and greed. Not every benefit becomes an entitlement. The story of IBM versus Ian Clifford may be taught in books as an HR case study, but for the common person, it leaves behind a deep life question. Will we ever learn to say enough? Because if 15 years of leave, salary without work, and lifetime security still cannot satisfy someone, then maybe the real problem is not in the system, but in our thinking.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources, news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.